So good morning, all of you. Today we shall discuss the next part in module 2. In our last class, we discussed the R programming and EDA process to plot some graphs depending on the application. We can select the column and plot different types of graphs like the box graph, the histogram plot, and the density graphs. They can be plotted and they provide some insight to the data scientist. Next, we shall discuss the algorithms. So as we know, algorithm is a sequence of steps where an unambiguous instructions will be executed for all the valid inputs. So it is a procedure or a set of steps or a rules that can accomplish a particular task. So algorithm is one of the fundamental concept in building the computer science programs. And all algorithms will be designed with a intention of having the higher performance and accuracy. So when finally an algorithm is modeled in a computer, so its basic design should be with efficient code while preparing the data, processing, and several software engineering processing will be accomplished in the algorithms. So some basic tasks for which an algorithm will be designed includes sorting, searching, graph-based computations. So in sorting, we have many methods. Again, different categories of algorithms can be made: divide and conquer, transform and conquer, greedy approaches, brute force, like that. And graph-based computations include shortest paths, then finding optimal solutions like a knapsack and Dijkstra's, flights, all those things. So these are the core areas or tasks the algorithms are designed over many years. A given task such as sorting, a list of objects could be handled by multiple possible algorithms, and we will select the best one. And the best one is measured based on the efficiency, computation time, which matters especially when we have large amount of data and building consumer facing products. So in our laboratory environment, we'll only be sorting maybe 5 or 10 numbers. But when we build an application, we'll be performing such operations on thousands, lakhs, millions of records. So if we take a bank transaction in one day, millions and billions of transactions will occur. So such huge data has to be processed by the algorithms. When we have such a huge data, obviously the efficiency comes into picture. When you have executed these algorithms in your UG, you may not have been noticed the speed of an algorithm. But the same thing, the speed variation will come when the data is very large. Because the difference in execution time when we have a small data is very, very negligible. So efficient algorithms that works maybe sequentially or in parallelly are the basis for pipeline to process and prepare the data. So the mechanism of pipelining comes into picture. So pipelining is nothing but the entire process will be divided into stages. The data will pass through each and every stage. When some part of the data is in the second stage, the next set of data will be in the first stage. So likewise, parallel processing can be done. And that too depends on the application and the nature of the process that we are doing. And we can execute the data parallelly, which means when we have multiple cores in a single processor, then on each core, a separate piece of data can be processed. Or if we are following the distributed computing system, then we can connect multiple devices and process the data on across n number of devices. So with respect to data science, we can classify these algorithms into three categories or three classes. So first category is in data munging, preparation and processing algorithms. So it is purely related to processing, preparation of data, such as sorting, MapReduce, or Pregal. So in these algorithms are used in data engineering. Then in the second category, it is the optimization algorithms. So how best we can optimize the solution for parameter estimations? So it includes the stochastic gradient descent, maybe Newton's method or least square method. So by varying a parameter, how best solution we can obtain. And the third category of algorithms are the machine learning algorithms. So machine learning algorithms are largely used to predict, classify, or cluster. So in our previous classes, we studied modeling. So modeling could be used to predict or classify. So when we talk about modeling, it is this statistical modeling or machine learning algorithms. See, here the statistical modeling was designed, developed, studied, and researched in the statistics department. And machine learning algorithms in the computer science stream. So certainly there will be methods and techniques that are part of both the statistical modeling as well as the machine learning. And we can interchange the statistical modeling and machine learning algorithms in data science. So in general, machine learning algorithms are the basis of artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence problems like image recognition, speech recognition, recommendation systems, ranking, personalization of content. So these are all the basis of the data products. And these are not part of core statistics. They are not generally designed to infer the generative process, that is the modeling, but rather we need to predict and classify with very high accuracy. So recognition, if you observe the word, it is re and cognition. So cognition means the cognitive ability, one's cognitive ability to identify and recognize. So here image recognition, it is a word is split. So image recognition means if I show a person's face to a system for the first time, I will show a face and say who is that person. And the second time when I show the same person's image, the system should be able to identify on the previously fed data. That is a recognition system. So be it face detection, the detection is different, recognition is different. So this difference, as a computer science engineer, one must know the difference between a detection and a recognition. So when I give an image, if it says it is a person, it's an image of a human being, then it is a detection system. If the system says which person is the name of the person, then it is a recognition. And recommendation systems. So in e-shopping websites, they have seen the recommendation systems, how the products are recommended based on the history, behavior, the time we spend on a product, all those things. Ranking and personalization of contents. So recommendation, we get it everywhere, be it Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. So they will suggest the friends. That is, they recommend the friends. You may know this person, such and such common friends are there, and all those things. So the differences in the method of artificial intelligence or machine learning, they reflect cultural differences in machine learning as statistics. So as a data scientist, one must use both machine learning as well as the statistic. So there are broad generalizations to consider as a data scientist. So first one is the interpreting parameters. So statisticians think of parameters in their linear regression models as having real world interpretations, and typically want to able to find meaning in behavior or describe the real world phenomenon based on these parameters. So whereas a software engineer or a computer scientist must be wanting to build a linear regression algorithm into production code level code and the predictive model. So it is called as a black box algorithm. They don't generally focus on the interpretation of the parameters. If they do, it is a goal of hand tuning them in order to optimize the predictive power. So the generalization as a data scientist should consider is interpreting the parameter. So how parameters can be interpreted in a real world to find their typical meaning. So confidence intervals. So statisticians provide confidence intervals and posterior distribution for parameters and estimators, and are interested in capturing the variability and uncertainty of the parameters. So there are many machine learning algorithms such as k-means or k-nearest neighbor. So they don't have a notion of confidence intervals or uncertainty. So this interval of confidence is required for a data scientist, and data scientists must consider these intervals. And this confidence interval is present in the distributions and estimators that are used by the statisticians. And also the data scientist must consider the role of explicit assumption. So statistical models make some explicit assumption. So, and this assumption is made about the data generation process and distribution. So non-parametric solutions, like we will see, they don't have any assumptions about probability distribution, or such an probability distribution may be implicit. So the role of explicit assumptions must be considered by the data scientist. And this assumption is about the data generation process. whether the data that is being generated for the application has any assumptions following the distributions. So that has to be generalized in the data scientist. So statisticians have chosen to spend their lives investigating the uncertainty, and still they are not 100% confident about anything. So software, whereas on the software engineers on the other hand would like to build the things. They want to build models that predict the best they can, but there are no concerns about the uncertainty. So software engineers just build it. So at large companies like Google or Facebook, their idea is to build and iterate often. They build things, iterate over it again and again so that it becomes efficient with passage of time. So if something breaks, it can be fixed. So a data scientist who somehow should manage to find a balance between the statistical and the computer science approach, and to find a value in both these ways of being can sustain. So data scientists are multicultural statistician and a computer scientist. So it is a kind of a hybrid. So another description of a data scientist can include a person who is better at statistics than any software engineer and better at software engineer than any statistician. So it is a mixture of both. So the three basic algorithms are there that we will discuss. So many applications and real world problems, they are solved with either as a classification problem or as a prediction problem, when it is possible to express them mathematically. So the classification and prediction. But for a data scientist, the real challenge lies after becoming familiar how to implement them, is to understand when one's used depending on the context and the problem. So this can be solved partially with experience. So classification problem has a binary outcome, or it has multiple outcomes. So if a multiple labels has to be associated, then what? So we can use the logistic regression or naive Bayes or k-means or all of them. So initially, though, when we hear about these methods in isolation, so it takes some effort to think. In real world, how do I know that this algorithm is a solution to the problem which I am trying to solve? So it's a mistake to be a type of data scientist uh, mere knowing one algorithm. So if I know linear regression, I'm going to solve every problem that we encounter. So that does not happen, because we must try to understand the context of the problem, the attributes the problem is having, and we have to also think in the mathematical terms and think about how the algorithms are going to map the problem that we are going to solve. So not every problem can be solved by a single algorithm. So it depends on the nature and context of the problem also. So if we are not sure, so we must form a group in our own domain, and then we must interact and get the others' opinion also. So we have a linear regression, naive Bayes, then k-means algorithm, k nearest neighbor is there. Okay. So these are the common statistical algorithms. So we might have studied them also in our UG classes. So linear regression, as the name itself suggests, so it is linear in nature. So it solves the linear methods, and it is the most common statistical method. So it is used when we want to express the mathematical relationship between the two variables or attributes. So when we use it, we are making the assumption that there is a linear relationship between the outcome variable and the predictors. So the outcome variable is also called as a response variable or a dependent variable or a label. So the independent variable or explanatory variable or a feature, it is called as a predictor. So if we feel there is a linear relationship between an outcome variable and a predictor, we can use linear regression. Or when we feel that there is a linear relationship between one variable and several other variables, then also we can use this particular model. Okay. So if we assume that there is a linear relationship between an outcome variable and predictor, that itself is a big assumption. But it is also the simplest one we can make, because linear functions are more basic than the nonlinear ones in the mathematical sense. And this algorithm can act as a good starting point in solving the linear kind of problems. So in some cases, it makes sense that changes in one variable may correlate linearly with the changes in another variable. So for example, it makes sense that more umbrellas you sell, the more money you make. So in these cases, you feel good about the linearity assumption. So other times, so it's just harder to justify the assumption, the linearity except locally. So in calculus, so everything can be approximated by line segments as long as functions are continuous. So that is the basis of the applying the algorithm, whether it is linear regression or logistic regression. Okay. So we'll continue the discussion in our next class. So you can enter your attendance in the chat window and exit.